broke down. The clutch ain't shot and the sun is so hot. Oh, what I'd give to be home.
It's time for Idle Talk from King's Auto Repair in West Reading. Got a question about your vehicle? Give us a call at 610-374-8800 or 888-401-0459. So let's get started with Idle Talk from King's Auto Repair. Here's Tom and Ashley.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Idle Talk. I am Ashley.
And I'm Tom.
And we are here on 8:30 a.m. WEEU, and we are from King's Auto Repair over there on Penn Avenue across the bridge. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is a auto repair facility on the avenue.
Yes, there is.
Whether you know it or not.
Most people don't.
No.
Drive right on by.
Right on by. But
hey,
we're there.
We're there.
We've been doing it for a bunch of years. Actually, it's been there since 1963. Anyway,
the name has been.
The name has. But we haven't been there since 1963.
No, we'd be a bit older.
Little bit. Anyway, so we are broadcasting live on Facebook. So go ahead and navigate out to Facebook. Look for us, King's Auto Repair, like and follow, and you'll get the notifications, and you'll see our beautiful faces for radio. And you can always make comments, ask questions on the Facebook, and you can call us 610-374-8800, 888-401-0459. And we're talking about cars, and we can talk about anything you'd like, just as long as it has to do with cars.
Cars?
Yeah. They're my favorite.
Are they?
My current obsession.
It's
my
funny.
current all the time obsession.
I was on a meeting today from 4 to 5, and I come back and Ashley goes, "Did you see what I left up on the computer screen for you?"
On my computer screen.
I said, "No." I said, I am whooped. This day got me. And she brings it back up, and here she was searching through cars for sale on an auction site.
Shocking.
And it's good she's not registered.
I'm not registered. It's Bring a Trailer. If you just want to go out and they have some good oddball stuff out there. It just increases my car knowledge, in terms of knowing what things are. And then they have some like really oddball stuff, like the snow skis. Did you see those? It's like it's a motorized. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a motorized snow machine that has one ski in the front and two skis in the back,
like tracks in the back.
yeah. I guess it would be what it is. And it's called a snow sled or something like that.
Yeah, someone had shared a video to the Idle Talk page, Facebook page, with one of those type of implements. I'm gonna say it was last year, and it was pretty neat because they were showing a horse trying to go through the deep snow, and then they showed that going through, and it had like no problem.
Yeah.
But I had never seen one before.
No.
I was like, okay, this is new and different. So I thought that's actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
But it's stuff you don't see around anymore because now they have big machinery that just pushes the snow right off the road.
Right.
So.
Right. Oscar on Facebook asked who the lead singer of Cars was, and that would be Rico Kasich, and he has died. And I don't know. So, yeah, he has passed away.
I have no idea.
And he was married to Polina Porskova, and she played the Fifth Element in Fifth Element. Me, Fifth Element.
Boy, that's stuff I don't know.
Sorry, I went deep there.
Yeah,
Thanks, Dan.
I don't know any.
Tom and I were both just like, what is happening?
What is that?
Pop culture knowledge.
Yeah. I thought we'd have to call up Noel Acosta to come in here to like,
help us out with the pop culture.
Yeah, if you're doing pop culture, that's his thing. I'm no pop culture person.
I know you're not. That's I take up the slack for both of us. Anyway, so that's why Oscar said, we're talking about cars, not the cars in general. But yeah, anyway, Rico Kasich. I did enjoy his voice very much. He was a pretty neat dude. So anyway, so what do you want to talk? What do you want to start with, Thomas?
Well, I thought I'd bring up. I'm going to throw myself under the bus.
Oh,
right?
I don't even know
right out of the front.
Happening. Okay,
right out of the gate. Right out of the gate.
All right, let's hear it.
So I've talked about. I have a. It's an antique Mustang now, and I don't drive it a whole lot.
It was manufactured the year after I graduated high school, and it's an antique. Oh my goodness! What? Okay. Here we go.
So I have a 93 Mustang. I don't drive it a whole lot. I think in the last 2 years it's gone 100 miles. So if
we look at it a lot.
I look at it a lot.
Walk past it a lot.
And Ashley
lean
says,
on it.
Ashley says, why don't you drive it? So
no, that's not how the conversation went.
It was like, you need to drive that.
And you said, I don't want to drive it right now because it needs a rack and a steering bushing.
It needs a steering rack.
A steering rack. And what was the other thing?
I put a steering shaft in it also. A steering shaft. But anyway, that you're getting farther ahead in the story here. So anyway, exactly. Back up. So anyway, I went and I drove it and I brought it in, put it up on the lift, and it was leaking fluid out of it. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't drive this car a lot. I've owned it coming up on 10 years. And
good long time.
I've owned it for 10 years, and I may have put 1,500 miles on it in the 10 years. Yeah. So I have not driven it a whole lot. It is one of those cars that you forget about from the early 90s that had more of an active input for driving. I'll call it. I'll call it an active input. And everybody,
meaning you actually have to drive it versus just kind of sitting back and making
these new cars. You hold the steering wheel straight, it goes straight.
Generally,
if you remember the old cars, you had to get a little bit of like wheel movement going with them. As you're going down the road, and then you'd stay straight.
Yeah,
it was kind of a normal thing on those older cars. Mm-hmm. Things just weren't as tight as the new cars are.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I need to tighten this up because every time I drive this, it is active driving. I need it to drive nicer. My pickup truck drives nicer than this car. So I'm like, all right. So I brought it down, I put it up in the lift, and when I put it up in the lift, all the power steering fluid came out of the steering rack. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, we need to put a steering rack in it.
Yes.
So
sighing heavily.
So as I did that, I got the car all fixed up, put the new steering shaft in it that got rid of the old rubber piece that caused that kind of active steering stuff to go on, and I drove it home.
Yeah.
Drove it home, parked it, and I thought, well, I'm going to do what Ashley says. I am going to go and use this. So I decided to
drive it more.
Yep. So I go out, and it doesn't start.
And he doesn't want to tell me.
And I didn't want to tell her because I just put a whole bunch of money into it, and then it didn't start. And I was like,
what? I don't remember. I think you did bring it up to me. You're like, the Mustang didn't start. And I'm like, great. And then what? And you're like, I think it needs a fuel pump. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome, honey. Damn thing runs on gold bullion. Every time you go out to it, something breaks and you got to fix it. And then, but to your credit, it wasn't.
It wasn't. So I had been driving it a year or two ago, and I was on the bypass, and I was going along, and all of a sudden it shut off, and I ended up coasting off the road. I ended up coasting off onto River Road, and as I coasted off, I was like cranking it over. I was like, doesn't want to start. I was like, well, I went out and I opened up the hood. I was like, I don't hear the fuel pump running. So I knew where the relay was. So I got the relay and I swapped the relay with the air conditioning one, and it ran.
Yay.
The fuel pump worked and it ran. So I thought, I'll go try that again. Well, luckily I'd thrown some extra relays in there, and
just keep extra relays hanging
around.
I
just keep extra relays in there.
Never know
after that happened,
one. Yes.
I was like, okay, I'd keep one in the glove box, and sure enough, I put it in. It started up again. But the car is in 1993,
right?
And the electrical relays are starting to fail in it, and that's where we're starting to see problems from that. From just the sheer age of the car.
And that's generally from like the solders coming apart and just because there's plastic soldered to metal, correct?
No, it's all.
It's on a plastic. Plastic.
Yeah,
backs.
it just has a plastic back, but it's not soldered. That's like glued.
Oh, it's glued.
Yeah,
but
that's glued.
That everything starts to deteriorate, break down, get brittle.
Yeah, so it gets kind of old, which made me think, we should talk about cars that sit around a lot, what can happen to them.
Right.
Coming out of everybody being all locked up and everything, and we're coming out here, and there's a lot of people that haven't been driving their cars, or they just don't drive a lot in general.
In general, yeah.
And it seems to be like every time you go and drive your car, something breaks on it.
That's kind of what it feels like, because you just don't drive very much to begin with. And then you're like, well, every time I get in this thing, something's wrong with it, or it's making a weird noise, or something like that. So when this is kind of this is going to be like an evolving conversation, because I know that if you don't have to drive very much, people generally don't like. So it's just how much should you drive, even if you don't want to keep your car kind of like the battery fresh, and when is it a good time to say, okay, maybe I should get rid of my car, or no one wants to get rid of their car and not have a vehicle. And I think that's another bigger problem is for people who don't want to drive that much but still have the vehicle.
Yeah,
that's a really tough juxtaposition to kind of grapple with. And I know, sure, there's the younger set that'll say, I'll just Uber it everywhere, I don't need a car, or I take public transportation. But it really becomes a is it worth keeping kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a quick break. We'll be right back taking your calls, 610-374-8800, 888-401-0459, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, this is Bob with Car Repair Shop. Your car needs a muffler bearing. You want me to go ahead and fix that?
Do you take Bob's word for it, or do you ask for a second opinion? At King's Auto Repair, we back up our recommended repairs with videos and pictures. We also include informational videos from third parties, so you can make an informed decision about your car. Call us for an appointment today, 610-376-3892, and take the mystery out of car repair.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. With COVID continuing to spread, nothing matters more than having an accurate thermometer that's backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies, like the Exergen temporal scanner. Even after getting the COVID vaccine, you should be monitoring for fever to make sure you are protected. Keep your family and yourself safe by trading up your non-contact thermometer for an accurate temporal scanner and a $5 rebate from Exergen, where accuracy matters. Details at Exergen.com.
Know that feeling? Like every door is closing and you just can't see a way out? Being unemployed, underemployed, or just out of school can feel like that. But when you find the right tools, suddenly everything just clicks. FindSomethingNew.org offers resources that help develop new skills that can position you for careers in today's growing industries, from healthcare and manufacturing to cybersecurity and alternative energy. Find your path to a new career at FindSomethingNew.org. A message from the Ad Council.
And now let's get back to Tom and Ashley with Idle Talk from King's Auto Repair.
And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Ashley.
And I'm Tom.
And we're here on WEEU, 8:30 a.m. We are Idle Talk. And we are going to talk to Ed. Has a question about a car not being driven. Hi, Ed.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
I got a 03 Thunderbird. I bought it 2 years ago, and I don't drive it but 500, maybe 500 miles, not even that, 500 miles a season, a year.
Mm-hmm.
And last time I had it out, that warm spell we had, I took it out and hit the brakes, and they kind of felt mushy, like, they weren't really a good, solid brake pedal.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of mushy, so I imagine it picked up moisture from sitting. Now, have you ever messed with synthetic brake fluid?
Yeah. Usually when we've been changing fluid in like when we'll flush a brake system, we generally move to a .4 fluid, but if somebody asks for a .5 synthetic, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean,
do you think that's a good idea to do that, being I don't drive it much?
I don't know if you're going to gain anything going to a .5 fluid. You probably just, I mean, all brake fluid's going to pick up water. It doesn't matter if it's synthetic or not. You're just changing, like, the synthetic stuff it'll have a higher boiling point.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're gonna avoid that, but probably flushing the brake system with a .3 or .4 fluid will definitely bring the brakes back. Now, I'm assuming it's inside.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the rotors didn't have any kind of rust or anything on the surfaces?
No.
Okay.
No, it's garage kept, but there's no heat in the garage, so it does get damp at times.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it.
Well, being it's an 03, it probably wouldn't hurt to flush out and put new fluid in, I guess, huh?
No, not at all. We use test strips at the shop to be able to kind of gauge how good that fluid is. But if you're having problems, I would just flush it, have somebody take a good look at it, make sure nothing's sticking on it, because that's also another thing that can happen with them sitting.
Okay.
I've had that on my car too, where the brakes just did not feel very good when it came out, and they were sticking a little bit. We took them apart, lubed them up, and put everything back together, and they were good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I'm Eddie the Eagle. I had the 88 Eagle at
oh, yes.
that I had called you a month or so ago.
Yes. Yeah, I saw one of those on Bring a Trailer for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What color? What color was it?
It was the wood grain and orange and white.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? But it was not the wagon; it was the sedan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's wood grain with a cranberry, and it's the wagon.
Yes, and I had to go. I had to go look that up. I had to see because I don't think I had ever seen the cranberry color, so I had to go look that up.
Well, the Wool Green. I think one of the pharmacies had a commercial that had an eagle just like mine. It was driving up to the drive-up window.
No kidding.
I had a laugh when I seen it. Yeah.
That would definitely make me laugh out loud because that is an obscure vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, did they just make that vehicle for that commercial type of thing? You know, because there's just not very many of them around anymore.
It caught my eye. I thought, what the heck? Why are they using that?
Exactly. Why would they use that one? I don't know. Someone in the advertising department thought that was a cool car. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Cool.
All right. Thanks for your suggestion, and I'll have to go ahead and do something, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if it'll make a big difference. I don't think it'll be worth the extra money personally, but if you want to do it, hey, I wouldn't stop you.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be detrimental.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'll have the guy I deal with, the garage out here, I'll have him check the fluid, like you said, see if it's the color strip you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually what those test strips will test for is copper inside the brake fluid. And when there's copper inside the brake fluid, it means that the brake lines are breaking down from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually what they test for with the strips.
Yeah. All right.
Good luck.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
Good
All
night.
right, bye.
So, yeah, that's actually a really good question because things just happen when a car sits.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2-3 years ago, we have a guy who has a Mustang that he doesn't drive a lot, a 65 convertible. And he said the brakes weren't working very well. We opened up the master cylinder on the car. That's the reservoir, and I should say the reservoir that holds all the brake fluid. And when we opened it up, it was all full of rust.
Oh,
so that was blatantly obvious. It had water in it, and we went out to check the wheel cylinders on the car. It had drum brakes all the way around, and the wheel cylinders are the piece that actually actuate the brakes out at the wheels in that car. And as we opened them up to check the fluid there, the rusty fluid came out of those. So
that'll do it every time.
It was time to replace the complete brake system in that.
Right.
So that got a complete brake system replacement with new stainless steel lines.
Yeah.
And a new master cylinder, new wheel cylinders, and some hoses. And
see, but that's not terribly complicated for a 1965 Mustang. It's not like doing fuel lines on a newer vehicle because there's just less stuff underneath it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do and a lot easier to take care of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so other things that can happen when your car sits. We actually had another one in the shop recently. It was a van, and the van that it's used to move a sports team around.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And they did sat all last year because of the pandemic and no sports and everything. So what ended up happening was they ended up having, I'm going to guess it was a mouse running around the inside of the engine compartment on
critter.
that. Some type
critter
of critter
that chews things.
Yeah, critter that chews things.
Yeah.
And he went in there and he chewed all the spark plug wires.
Yeah.
So they drove it in. We looked it over and said, boy, this thing runs really bad. Pulled the cover off the engine and took a look at it, and he had eaten like 4 of the spark plug wires off. I don't know how they drove it in, but it did not run very well.
Well, yeah, it didn't run well, and it was maybe just, they're touching like one little piece of that wire still, still making a connection.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. It's not that it sat around and the critters thought that, hey, look, this is something good to eat. Now, one of the ways to keep those critters away and keep them from going in after the wires and stuff in your car, I actually saw a guy do this, and he says he does it for his clients. They take old medicine bottles, old pill medicine bottles, and they drill some holes in the cap, and they go and put a cotton ball in it, and they get mint extract, and they pour it on the cotton ball, and they put it around the inside of the engine compartment. Like if you have you have mice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have not heard this before.
The mice don't like the smell of mint.
Oh.
So they stay away from it. Now, for whatever reason, they like the taste of wires. But
yes, they do.
But if you go and you put like a couple of these around the engine compartment, if you have mouse problems going after your car, if it sits, it will help keep them out. Because the mint smell will keep them away. And you drill the holes in the bottle.
Yeah, so
you just like zip tie it in there, and then to refresh it every couple months, you go and dab a little bit more of the mint oil in, and that keeps the mice away.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I thought that was a great idea.
It's like putting marigolds in your garden to make I can't remember what to keep the marigolds away from.
Yeah, it keeps the bugs away. I forget what bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm brain farting right now. Okay.
Anyway.
So let's talk to Steve. Has a question about clutch system. Hi, Steve.
Yes.
What's going on?
Hello?
Yep,
Hello?
we're here.
Oh, yeah,
hi, Steve.
Hi. Yeah, hi there. Hi. I have a 2003 MR2.
Oh,
and,
okay.
It's kind of a rare car nowadays.
Yeah, very much.
But the clutch cylinders are going. I believe they are, because I took it out the other day and I almost didn't make it back home. I felt like I was losing my clutch.
Oh.
As far as not being able to disengage.
Okay, so the clutch the clutch pedal goes in but doesn't come out.
No, it actually does come back out. It comes out. I just felt like I wasn't getting the full motion, I guess, on it.
So when you pushed it in, it didn't feel like it was disengaging?
Well, it kind of, like, I had a hard time. When I finally got back home, I tried to get into reverse. I had a hard time getting into reverse. And it just felt to me like because I just had a failure on another vehicle of the hydraulic clutch system. I had to drive home the second gear. So
That's
that
no
wasn't
fun.
that was no fun, yeah. And it almost happened again on this car on Easter. And but I was just wondering, I guess I'm not sure if I'm going to do the work myself or have a garage do it. But how many hours of labor do you think are involved in doing the master and the slave?
I am trying to look that up right now, because I am not really familiar. We don't work on a lot of those. We work on a lot of Camrys, but not Spiders.
Yeah. That would, Okay, so let's go back. Let's just go back really quick.
It depends if it's internal or external.
Right. So my first.
It's external.
Oh, if it's external, it's not. It shouldn't be a big deal because it should just be a couple bolts and you can take it off.
It is. Right. Like
But
bolts,
okay.
And then a line. Get the line.
I want to kind of go back really quick. We're making an assumption that it's the slave cylinder. It could be the clutch itself.
Yeah.
So
There's
what?
no external leakage. I don't see any external leakage.
Yeah, if you're not, I'd be a little more interested if that it might actually be a clutch issue.
Right, like the clutch itself, not necessarily the
really?
hydraulics.
So if you want to check that, what you'd want to do is if you can have a second person help you, where they can push the clutch and you can see if that slave cylinder moves down there at the clutch. You're going to want to see if it moves. If it moves like, I'm going to guess like an inch. If it moves out like an inch, you probably are going to have a clutch problem. Now, if there's a boot on that slave cylinder that you can pull it back off and check to see if there's fluid there, because that's the spot where you're going to see a lot of leaks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because the master cylinder, I see nothing up on the firewall.
Yeah.
I don't see.
And you're not seeing any fluid on the brake booster or anything?
No, well, there's no booster. It's just, there's a reservoir.
Like the reservoir
tank. Yeah. And that's, I can tell that it hasn't been serviced. I don't think it's ever been changed in its life.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of amber-colored fluid. So,
yeah, I would.
Another part of.
I said I would be more concerned if it was the actual clutch itself. That's where I would.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like I had plenty of, like, I could stall the engine. It wasn't like the engine. It would flip. I didn't sense any slippage.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, then if it'll stall the engine, if you can stall the engine out fairly easily by letting the clutch go, it is probably a leak in that system. So I would be looking for to make sure that slave cylinder moves, and if it doesn't move real far and there's no leak after you pull that boot off down there, I would be looking at the clutch master cylinder as the problem then, which honestly would not be a huge. I would say it wouldn't be a real far cry to go and say that might also be the problem if the fluid's never been changed in it, because
fluid won't.
Oh, go ahead.
If fluid is old, that wouldn't cause a loss of
if
hydraulics, would it?
Well, it can, and like the old fluid in it actually will have some dirt and debris built up over time.
Right.
They use brake fluid in that system, so
Dot 3, yeah. Dot 3.
So that attracts water, and then the water gets in there and it starts to break down the lines and any type of metal in there. So you get little bits of metal in there, and eventually it cuts the seals inside of that cylinder that seal everything up, so you're able to push that fluid down to that other cylinder. So old fluid can cause a problem. Now, without looking at it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would definitely, if it's
if
it's dirty looking, yeah, you can start with that, and if it's dirty looking, kind of pull it out and put some new stuff in.
Yeah, that's what I would give.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you have an estimate on the time, labor? Time?
Oh,
I still didn't get that far.
No, I mean, you could always call the shop and ask for me, and I could try to get a kind of a guesstimate for you.
I'm trying to bring it up on my phone, and it is
not
cooperating.
Okay.
It is not cooperating.
Right. We actually do have to take a break, Steve. So that was a wonderful question, and if you give us a call at the shop, you can ask for me. I'm not going to be there tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday. I'm playing hooky tomorrow.
Okay. Well, you have a great show. I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Very good show.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good night.
Right, you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk to Irene, and then we have George holding. So let's take a quick break, 610-374-8800, 888-401-0459, and we'll be right back. Have you ever wondered if you have been getting the whole story when it comes to your car? It might be time to get a second opinion on the condition of your car. King's Auto Repair in West Reading can help with that. After giving your car a 57-point checkup, they will email or text you with results of the checkup. With this information, you can make an informed decision about how to take care of your car. Call King's Auto Repair for an appointment, 610-376-3892.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. With COVID continuing to spread, nothing matters more than having an accurate thermometer that's backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies, like the Exergen temporal scanner. Even after getting the COVID vaccine, you should be monitoring for fever to make sure you are protected. Keep your family and yourself safe by trading up your non-contact thermometer for an accurate temporal scanner and a $5 rebate from Exergen, where accuracy matters. Details at Exergen.com.
Orangutans. They're beautiful, playful, and majestic, and disappearing. Every day, as many as 20 orangutans vanish. They starve to death when their homes are destroyed, or are killed when they stray into villages in search of food. International Animal Rescue is fighting for the survival of the critically endangered orangutan. But we can't do it without you. Please visit internationalanimalrescue.org and help us save orangutans before it's too late. That's internationalanimalrescue.org.
Broken car doesn't have to ruin your day. King's Auto Repair has no-cost loaner fleet for you to use while they fix your car. Whether it's an oil change or an engine replacement, you can reserve one when you make an appointment. They also can drop a loaner at your house when you ask them to pick your car up for service. Call King's Auto Repair at 610-376-3892 to reserve your spot today.
And now let's get back to Tom and Ashley with Idle Talk from King's Auto Repair.
And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Ashley.
And I'm Tom.
And we are on here on Idle Talk. Ugh, 8:30 a.m.
Trying to get it out.
I'm working it out. 8:30 a.m. WEEU. And we are from King's Auto Repair over on Penn Avenue.
And I'm still trying to look up Steve's question here, and I keep turning my phone around and around and around and around, and I'm not getting what I want.
Tommy, the technology is baffling Tommy right now.
Yes. I'm getting my butt kicked by the technology.
The technology.
The technology is kicking my butt.
Let's talk to Irene. Hi, Irene.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. I have a question that what you had just said about the wiring.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know a few years ago it was in the news about, I think it was Toyota that used soy-based wiring, and that was causing the rodents to eat the wires. They switched from, like, I guess, an oil base to a soy base, and it just sounded too tempting.
Yeah, so our friend Al Catone is watching on Facebook, and he said that.
He said the same thing.
He said the same thing about the soy, and I completely forgot about that.
And I was just wondering, are they still using soy for that?
I don't know.
I mean, they're going towards a lot of renewable stuff, but that's something I can look up and
we should look up and look into that, because I know that the rodents not necessarily are into the stuff on the outside. I know they like the metal because they cut their teeth on it. Like they cut their teeth down, because I had a situation where I used to work that we were having internet problems, continuously internet problems. And we had Comcast come out, and there's like cabling, naked cabling, there's no casing on it or anything, that the squirrels were chewing through because it was like wearing their teeth down. So I don't know if it may be a combination of that they're looking for metal to, like a softer metal to work on their teeth, or they're looking for the soy of the insulators.
Yeah, because I know a few years ago my neighbor had went on vacation for a couple of weeks, and he had let his car sit there.
Mm-hmm. And
he asked me, because I don't use my truck that much, he he said, "Did you ever have anything, chew your truck?" And I said, "No." And after 2 weeks, they chewed a lot of his wiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll make you.
And I was just
that'll
curious.
make you mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's going on, and then you find a mouse house. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to dig into that a little bit and kind of address that in next show.
Okay, like I said, I was just curious.
No, great question. Great question. We'll look into it and we'll see what we can figure out for next show.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Irene. Have a good night.
Yep. I remember. I mean, the van that they were chewing the wiring in was a 2003 Chevy van. I wouldn't think that they were using it around that time, but I have seen the mice chew wiring on cars from the 90s too.
Yeah.
And they seem to also for whatever reason, they like Hondas too. And there's hoses on Hondas, so I wonder if those are also soy-based.
We'll definitely have to look into that because it's interesting because you would think, what would draw them to that certain thing when there's, plenty of things in nature to chew on. Why would they come to a car, not necessarily for shelter, but for chewing things? Because we find mouse houses in cars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially in the winter, and
they're looking for a warm place.
For a warm spot. Yeah.
Yeah. You park your car and the engine's warm and they climb in there and they're like, I'm going to make myself a nice little home right here. So
I'm going to tell you a really funny story, and we'll take George next. But my dad was driving, we had a 1985 Audi 5000, and the way there was what they call a map shelf underneath the dash, so it was the glove box, and then there was a shelf that you could put a map on, and it was just kind of a regular shelf, and like where kind of your knees are on the passenger side. My dad's like, I know there's a mouse in this car because sometimes you can smell the mouse urine when it would be sitting in the sun, and then you get in the car, you're like, it smells funny in here, and it's mouse urine. And so my dad's like, I know there's a mouse in here. There has to be a mouse in here. So one day he's driving down the road and he sees something out of the corner of his eye and he looks down and there's a mouse sitting on the shelf, on that map shelf, looking at him. And he literally made eye contact and my dad looked away and looked back and it was gone. And he's like, I knew there was a mouse in here. So he's like, I know how to get rid of this thing. So he parked it waited till a nice hot July day, parked it up on a blacktop and just windows up and just baked the car for the entire day. Mouse left.
I believe it.
It left.
It was way too hot.
It was way too hot. So they I don't know, they just
when they're in there, they're stinky.
Yeah. All right, let's talk to George. Hi, George.
Good evening. You got me having pumpkin pie for dessert.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Good.
As long as there's ice cream with it, it'll be good.
No, I got some whipped cream instead, but I have to be cautious with diabetes.
Yeah.
Regarding the brake fluid or the wiring, point blank, I've been told that it was the recycled plant matter, specifically nuts or nut shells.
Huh.
And the
for the not necessarily the plastic on the outside, but maybe the insulators component on the, if it would
maybe on the very
in between the,
maybe they used it as dust or something to pull the copper wiring through the plastic too.
The casing that let's say you have a bundle of wires.
Yeah.
You use the wire wraps to tie them together. And then you have another casing on top of that just to keep them covered. The mice were eating through that corrugated house, tube that has a slit along the length, and because it was made of peanut shells.
Shells, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Man, so many components.
We're gonna have to dig. We're gonna be digging into this.
Definitely gonna dig into that because that's
the rest of the story I heard in that particular instance was the wiring was replaced twice, and it happened the third time while the vehicle was still under warranty. With further research, it was discovered that it was the component itself which was attracting the mice. The component was made out of peanut shells.
What kind of car was this?
I don't remember, to be square with you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
That's
Just curious. I mean, if it was a Honda, then be like, okay, yeah, let's.
I have no idea. It
All
was
right.
just 10 years ago, and
Okay.
I thought that was the damnedest thing I ever heard. Squirrels eating the wire casing.
Yeah, interesting.
And, it's not only do squirrels like to get in the cars, cats as well.
Yeah, and to be completely honest with you, George, we have a cat. We got a cat, little Pippa, and we have no idea how she got into the shop, and we are assuming that she came in a car. And I have no idea how.
I had a 1970 Buick Skylark. Got it indirectly from my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
I had my car parked in the field one evening while attending a birthday party or wedding party. So I started up the engine. I got this lousy as can be squeal. Oh my God, there's a cat in the engine. I lifted up the hood, and I don't see a cat. I don't see any hair or chopped off tail or anything. And I started up the engine again. It's coming from the front of the engine. So I went back to the house. I got a broomstick. Put the broomstick to the various parts of the engine to see where it was coming from. It turned out to be a bad bearing in the water pump.
Oh. Well, that's better than a cat.
You definitely made a left turn there, George, halfway through that story, because I was like, is he telling us a story? Is he going to tell just a joke, you know? Like, no, water pump bearing. Okay.
This time, it was a bad bearing in the water pump.
Okay.
You know, so that's what it was, and I got it home and I showed it to my father. This is what I think it is. He said, "Yeah, you got it right. That's the sound of a bad." My father was a German machinist.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bad bearing right there. You got it right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a cat. He laughed at me. Oh.
Definitely.
So after that bad transmission joke about being shiftless, I promise I won't bother you again.
Okay. Well, we're going to do more sleuthing into this whole wire thing. So just because, why not? You know.
I dare you, with all due respect. You know, please don't get that the wrong way.
No.
I'm sure, whether it's soybeans or not, I don't know. Soybeans are used for everything.
Yeah.
About.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in this particular case, a car. I heard the story so long ago, I couldn't tell you what make or model year, but the casing that bundled all the wires together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
All right, we'll look into it. Thanks, George.
All right, I'm sorry to be squirrely with you tonight.
Yay! Yeah, okay. Bum.
Good night.
And we're good. All right. Good night, George.
Bye.
There had to be one in there. There had to be one in there.
You can't call without telling a joke.
Yeah, that's good. That's all right.
it.
That's good stuff. Anyway, let's take a break. We have Thurston. He has a question or a comment, and we'll take a quick break. And we have a couple minutes to take maybe one more call after this gentleman. 610-374-8800, 888-401-0459. We'll be right back. Have you been driving home in the dark and noticed your headlights don't seem as bright as they once were? Well, that's because the sun's rays actually ruins the plastic lens on the headlight, turning them yellow. Let King's Auto Repair restore your headlights back to new by performing a BG headlight restoration. It comes with a 5-year clarity guarantee. Call King's Auto Repair to schedule an appointment today, 610-376-3892, 732 Penn Avenue, West Reading.
Today, we'll be talking about a new vaccine. It's 100% effective against big down payments. I'm joined by world-renowned Dr. Diney. So, Doc, how does it work?
I'm happy to say it's very simple. You just go to Springfield Mitsubishi of Reading. Yes, in Reading. They follow strict CDC guidelines.
CDC?
The Center for Dime Control.
Because all you need is a dime. One dime down at Springfield Mitsubishi in Reading.
Correct. And ask for credit amnesty.
If you bring home $350 a week, you could get up to $25,000 in credit.
We're even beating variants, like high interest rates.
Springfield has 0% financing.
I think we can all safely say
It's a crime to pay more than a dime. One dime down at Springfield Mitsubishi of Reading. Yes, Reading.
you don't have to drive to Philly. We're right here in Reading on Pottsville Pike.
ReadingMitsu.com. ReadingMitsu.com.
Example, 20 Mitsubishi Mirage ES 16 dime down 279 a month for 60 months at 0% APR plus tax title to qualified buyers.
We're back with more Idle Talk with Tom and Ashley from King's Auto Repair.
And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Tom.
And we are Idle Talk here on 8:30 a.m. WEEU. And we are from King's Auto Repair. And we are live also on Facebook, so you can see our beautiful faces for radio. Go out to Facebook, look for King's Auto Repair, like and follow, and you'll get notifications when we go live. We're going to talk to Thurston. Hi, Thurston.
Hello, to Mr. Tom, Miss Ashley. Pleased to meet you all. Good afternoon.
How are you?
Doing outstanding. Thank you.
Good.
I'm a first-time caller, long-time listener, and in the interest of time, I will be as quick as I can. So
that's okay.
To respect, obviously, any other callers and or commercial breaks that may come that may be needed.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch on 3 points. One of them, the very first one, is I wanted to share my admiration for the great, outstanding work you all perform for the community. In my opinion, you're honest and unbiased with the information you provide. You surely are, guys, professional, definitely educational, and you guys are definitely very fun. I get a lot of laughs with you guys, and sometimes a few cries. And you guys are very human, in a good way, of course. Obviously, the colors, the life makes it very interesting.
Thank
you. The horror stories sometimes that some people go through, and sometimes as you guys try to walk them through, you guys, everything is a learning experience sometimes as well for you guys.
Absolutely.
And I like that human factor. You guys are very human. You obviously don't condescend on, look down on anybody just because you have a lot of knowledge.
No.
And therefore, you make things where you can explain any layman terms the best you can.
Yep.
And you make it fun. You make it interesting instead of boring and dull and they make no sense.
Thank you.
That is our goal.
That's our goal.
So,
Thurston, I like to say that I'm never the smartest person in the room. So ever.
There's always somebody smarter than us.
Absolutely.
Each of us. It's just a matter of when and where. But it's good that you guys have that humbleness. My second thing that I wanted to touch, you are welcome. The second thing was I have an appointment that I set up with you. Miss Laura was fantastic today.
Oh, good.
When I set it up on April 16th so far. I did ask to be kept on watch in case something else opens up, cancellation or anything.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll gladly wait. My old mechanic that I have been with since I was a young adult, early years of driving, after my time in college and before my military service, I've been around with him for a while, and he retired. I'm obviously looking as much as I really would not have wanted to, but I'm looking, obviously, possibly to have a new relationship to start with.
Awesome.
And because I have been following you guys for such a long time, and I just thought after the conversation with Ms. Laura today, where I felt well treated, reassured, and certainly, comfortable. Besides all those points, I just felt there's a connection, and I wanted to give you guys a try and see how it works out.
Okay.
I
So
have
before you
Toyota
go
that
on,
I'm going to bring to you guys.
thank you so much, and I'm going to definitely tell Laura about that. If she's not listening, I'll definitely tell her, pass that on to her, because she will appreciate that very much, very much.
I think it's well deserved. Definitely.
Good.
A lot of times your work it's a thankless job, so I thank you all for everything that you do. Like I said, including her, that it's the face of the first customer contact, and really makes a difference, makes or breaks what happens in the business, really.
Yes.
I wanted to let know that my vehicle, I've been having a little bit of what I just want to make sure what issues may be as far as transmission, engine, or things like that. I definitely, I believe it's a 2001 Toyota that I've been driving for a while. and just they want to check into a tune-up, and I want to have the works. You guys go under and take a look.
Yeah.
Give me some recommendations, and hopefully we can do some things to it. Definitely brakes and things like that. Now, the third point I wanted to make was that, unfortunately, I had a hit-and-run accident that caused the vehicle to be declared a total loss by my insurance company. Happened pretty recent. And unfortunately, I have bought that vehicle. It was a 2020 Mitsubishi Outlander that I had provided for my daughter on her last year of high school as a gift because she earned that with her grades and obtaining her license and things like that. Obviously, she has shown responsibility with it, and as she went into college, which she's finishing her first year. Unfortunately, this happened, and now because of not having this thing called gap insurance, which I was under the impression that I had it when I started the loan. Yeah. Unfortunately, again, lesson learned. That's on me. I take responsibility for not insuring. I was nearly $4,000 upside down on the loan, and now I'm stuck paying for a vehicle that I don't have.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, again, that's mud in the water or whatever we want to call it. Moving on, I'm looking to another vehicle, hopefully, that I can get for her. I'm not sure if I'm going to go new again due to this unfortunate event. I'm a little sour over it.
Yeah.
I may go used. That way, the 2,000 average hit is already taken.
Right.
Instead of
yeah.
losing it when I drive it off the lot.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, I'm trying to look for something that will be appropriate for my team driver. But again, like I said, she has shown a lot of responsibility. She definitely had an Outlander, which is bigger than a car. Definitely not a full-size vehicle, but I am confident that she can handle, a mid-size or a full-size. But of course, I mean, I want her protected and safe as much as possible.
Absolutely.
With as many safety features as possible. But I also know you start going that route, you're going to pay more. And, of course, the insurance is also going to say, hey, it costs more to replace, or in the event that you're at fault, you're going to cost more damage. We're also going to charge you for it. And obviously, I'm already paying quite a bit because of having her on my insurance as a team driver.
Young
so
driver.
You can imagine. With that said, again, thank you to all. I'm going to hang up again so that the next person, in case they have time to call. I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to meeting with all of you. Thank you very much.
I can't wait to. I'll tell Laura, and I'll give her the heads up.
And I will say, I actually walked into the office today when she was on the phone with you.
Oh, cool.
And I walked in and I heard the conversation she was having about checking the different items. So. And I'm listening, and I'm like, "Yep, we checked that. Yep, that's our regular. Those are our regular checks.
Regular checks.
Okay, there
Cool.
you asked for something that isn't a regular check, but yeah, we can do that.
Cool.
So I was like, oh, okay. So
yeah, we'll see you. What, next Thursday is the 16th?
I believe it will be Friday, most likely.
Friday. Okay.
Coming up, and like I said, you guys all seem wonderful, and I look forward to being all around you.
Cool.
I done some research on Toyotas. Toyotas, the Corolla, the Camry, the reliability, the Highlander as an SUV.
Yeah.
Obviously, a Ford Runner that will be very expensive and very much a very big car. But, I mean, Subarus, of course, Subarus, a lot of commercials, family and all that, family-oriented. The CRV or whatnot. Again, I hope you guys can give me some info.
Yeah.
Let me hang up. So that way I'm off the phone. But again, I look forward to meeting with you guys. I'm wonderful. Have a wonderful day. And I hope I was a decent phone call for you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you,
absolutely.
Thurston.
Well, thank you.
It's wonderful. Appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, a RAV4.
Yeah, a RAV4 is a nice size car, or CRV. It actually, I'm going to say, I don't know if we have enough time to get into this. I had this in the notes. He brought up a really great point about the gap insurance, and I actually saw an interesting story that I wanted to share because it's a little out there, and if you've been around a little while, you know that car loans keep getting longer and longer, and Nissan is now offering 84 and 96 month terms to buy a car.
It's crazy.
So the crazy part about a lot of their cars is they're reasonably priced, but they depreciate really fast. So they are a car that you would want to buy gap insurance on.
Yeah.
And in the example they used, a Nissan Altima, a 5-year-old midsize sedan of theirs, depreciates almost 59%.
Wow.
In 5 years.
So it's almost half. A little bit less than half.
If you're, looking at used cars, that would be a used car that would be more reasonably priced. Now, so it would be something to look at that you'd want to buy used.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to hold their value from being new.
Right.
So if you were to get in an accident and say in year 2 or 3, how much that car is depreciated, you're going to still need that gap insurance most likely to make up the difference in that car to pay it off.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be paying for a car that you don't have anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're coming up. We have 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes left. Dan, how much time do we have left? How many minutes? 3 minutes. Oh my gosh. Zing,
time
zing,
flew
zing.
Tonight. Yeah.
He's giving me the 2-3, 2-3.
I'm not the math guy.
I'm not. I do math. So we. Anyway, this is Bob. We didn't get to. I'm loving all the calls that we got today.
Yes.
This is fantastic.
And we're definitely going to research the wiring thing a bit more.
Definitely want to research the wiring thing. I think we should go back to next week, talk about what happens when a car sits and that kind of stuff. Because now, people are just going to be getting back into the swing of things. Some people will be like, "Why do I have a car?"
And just to touch on, we're making appointments that are almost we're over a week out.
Yeah.
And I will say a lot of people are out looking to get their cars fixed right now. So if your car needs to be fixed, call your mechanic.
Yeah.
Get in now.
Yeah, make an appointment now.
They're probably very busy.
Yeah. And just also, if you have a April, May, or June inspection, you can get a sticker now.
Yep.
For that month. So if you have
for April, May, or June.
So if you have a June sticker, you can go get a inspection for June. Oh my gosh, we didn't get to talk about bad driving contagious. Jared, we're going to do that. I tell you, we'll do that first thing next week because I do have a funny story about something like that.
Yes, we had a person that has been into the shop and watches us on Facebook that asked us, "Is bad driving contagious?"
And
we have an answer.
We'll get to that next week. That is our show tonight. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching if you're on Facebook. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. Be nice to each other. Wear your seatbelts.
Thank you.
And good night.
The voice of Berks.